Problem, we're going to round the number 777 to the nearest 10 and to the nearest 100. So I know that 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 tells me to ignore the number in the roundings place, and that 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 tell me to add 1 to the number in the roundings place. So I know that there's a 1 in the 7's place, or a 7 in the 1's place, a 7 in the 10's place, and a 7 in the 100's place. So I'm starting with the 10's place. So that is the 7 in the 10's place. I'm going to look right next door, and that 7 tells me to add 1. So I'm going to add 1 to that 7, which makes it an 8. Everything to the right becomes a 0, and everything to the left just drops down. So 777 rounded to the nearest 10 is 780. This is what it looks like on the number line. So if this is 700 and this is 800 because we're rounding to the nearest 10, this would be 750. 760, 770, 780, 790. So if this right here, 760, if this is 770, this would be like 777. And 777 is really close to this one, which would be 780. So that's why it rounds to 780. Now let's look at doing the same with 777, but this time we're going to round to the nearest, we're going to round to the nearest 100. So let's round this to the nearest 100. This time, this is the 7 in the 100's place. I'm going to look right next door, and guess what? There's still a 7 there, and that 7 tells me to add 1. So I'm going to add 1 to this 7. When I add 1 to that 7, it becomes an 8. There's nothing to the left to drop down, but everything to the right still becomes 0. So it's 800. Let's look at it on the number line. So if I've got my number line here, and let's say this is 600, and this is 700, and this is 800. I know that halfway between 600 and 700 is 650, and halfway between 700 and 800 is 750. And I know that 777 is going to have to fall somewhere on this side of my number line, which means that it is closer to 800, way closer to 800 than it would be to 700. Look at how far of a jump that is. So 777 rounded to the nearest 100 is 800.